Hello, Trinity family. This is Donna Potts, the Vice President of Church Council and Chair of the Coronavirus Transition Team. I want to talk to you today about worship and activities at Trinity Lutheran, which we are all very anxious to have return to normal as soon as possible. Unfortunately, COVID is making that very difficult. In the spring, when we, along with the rest of the world, shut down our lives, we thought it would be a temporary measure, and that if we all wore our masks and distanced and washed our hands, we would be back to normal soon. We also were hoping for a quick vaccine or medication that worked to prevent or treat COVID-19. Unfortunately, none of that happened. Many communities did not completely shut down, and many of those that did reopened prematurely and with inadequate COVID precautions in place. Our COVID cases spiked in the early summer, then declined somewhat, but they've begun to increase again in the fall, as many viruses do, with cooler weather driving activities indoors. Public schools and universities reopened, and many of us, face it, are just exhausted and disheartened and ready for this all to be over. We've let down our guard and taken risks we know were unwise because we're desperate to see our loved ones, and we miss the deep and meaningful connections that make life worthwhile. While we do have some vaccines in development that appear to be safe, we don't yet know for sure that they're effective, and there are no drugs on the horizon that can be counted on to cure COVID. We are still dealing with a virus that is spread mostly by people with no symptoms. It causes an illness from which many people recover very quickly, but which, for reasons that are not yet clear, is devastating and even deadly for some. While folks who are older and those who have underlying medical conditions are more likely to be severely ill, this virus does sometimes kill even those who are young and otherwise healthy. And there's no way to predict who will have a bad outcome. Fortunately, we have learned a lot since most of us first heard of this disease almost a year ago. We can effectively prevent it. You all already know the drill. Wear your masks, maintain social distancing by avoiding crowds and enclosed spaces, wash or sanitize your hands. These measures are highly effective. The Coronavirus Transition Team has met weekly since the middle of May, discussing new information as it became available and trying to develop safe ways for our Trinity family to worship and maintain our connections and our community. Updates about those meetings, as well as an update summarizing the most recent COVID data, are posted weekly on the Trinity Lutheran website. Zoom meetings for Sunday school and book clubs and committees, and in-person small group activities have helped us all support each other as we weather this storm that is unlike any we've ever faced before. Our first in-person worship in the sanctuary on October 18th was an experiment in safely gathering in our beloved and beautiful sacred space for the first time in 7 months, and it was successful. Those who attended felt safe, and our spirits received much needed nourishment as we shared the peace of the Lord and experienced again God's grace and love as a congregation. With many special virtual worship experiences already planned in the near future, including confirmation, All Saints Sunday, and the reception of new members, we had tentatively planned another in-person service in the sanctuary for mid-December. Unfortunately, COVID-19 cases have recently risen dramatically across the country and in the upstate. Greenville County is now a hot spot again, making it more dangerous for us to gather in person. If cases continue to rise, it will not be possible for us to safely have a large gathering in the sanctuary for a while. I know there are churches in Greenville that are having in-person worship services regularly. We've surveyed them and reviewed their policies, and most of them follow the same basic guidelines we do. Many of them have much larger spaces with better ventilation systems and can safely accommodate them, and some have access to outdoor venues that allow non-mask wearing events to be held. And some of them, frankly, are taking risks that our transition team considers foolhardy and unacceptable. Our sanctuary is small enough that we can only safely accommodate a relatively small number of people at a time. And even with all our precautions, that still presents some risk to the participants, including the pastors and those who volunteer as ushers and greeters. Not a week goes by that I don't get a call from a member of our congregation whose family has had a COVID scare. The virus is here. It's among us. We've been very blessed at Trinity so far to have not lost a single member to COVID-19. We've also been blessed with some of the very best virtual worship experiences imaginable. All our staff are working incredibly hard to find new ways to keep us connected and engaged. All of us want to be together again, to hug, to share the peace, to see each other's smiles, to share our joys and our sorrows. COVID has robbed us of a lot. It's okay to be angry and to be frustrated and to grieve what we've lost. But it would not be okay to let down our guard and be responsible for the severe illness or death of one of the frail elderly or young and healthy Trinity Lutherans that we love. This will not last forever. We're resilient and we will persevere. A vaccine will be found, or a medication will be developed, or enough people will actually follow the COVID prevention guidelines that the number of cases drops low enough that we are not in danger as we go about our normal lives. Please know that the transition team is working hard to bring us together again. Until then, please make the phone calls, send the notes and cards, enjoy the driveway visits and the drive-thrus and the small group gatherings and the book clubs and the Zoom meetings that we have learned to count on to stay in touch. And remember, we are strong and we are beloved children of God. Thank you.